Hello, Ragers, and welcome back to another episode of Rage It. Today we're going to be taking a look at r/faithinhumanity. So my son, 7 years old, has saved his money for over the past year plus. He has $235. We're driving home the other day. Suddenly, he randomly says, "Next time I see a homeless person, I'm going to buy them one of these houses." I replied saying how nice that would be of him, and what made him think of that. He said, "That neighborhood had a sign that said new homes as low as $220. I just let him smile. This is absolutely adorable. Although I have to say, I really do wish the houses could be bought for $220. So the other day, my professor was talking about how social economics and crime relate. It's a crime theory class. And he brought up that he had forgotten about one of the most important rules for his class. He started talking about how he doesn't allow absences to be excused if they're due to the lack of a babysitter. I thought this was going to be a self-righteous, you can find someone, my class is more important spiel. But he actually went on to talk about how he wanted us to bring our kids if there was no one to watch them, and that being a parent shouldn't stop you from being able to get an education. He added, even if they're loud or sick. Super sweet dude. I think this is awesome. It's so amazing just when someone can do something as small as understand that not everyone's in the same situation that they are. Having a little bit of understanding can go a really long way. My brother is a Boy Scout and was selling popcorn tonight. Not long after he and my dad got set up to sell, a guy came up to them to say, "I don't want any popcorn, but I want you to get sales, and I want to be a blessing for someone. I'm going to give you $100. I want you to give away $100 worth of popcorn to people who come up." Apparently, the people that they gave the popcorn to, both moms with kids, could hardly process it. That's a good Samaritan if I ever seen or heard of one. This is a great example of how one person can make an impact in so many people's lives. Not only did he impact the son and the dad selling popcorn, but he also impacted the son at home and the people that got the free popcorn and likely their families as well. I have lymphoma. I also am a girl in my early 20s, and all my life, my long dark hair has been my most identifying feature. I've been distraught at the prospect of losing my hair, more so than actually having cancer, since my hair has always been very, very long and thick. As most girls do, I've struggled with hating my appearance, and my hair was something that was always easy to maintain and love, and often the only thing I ever liked about myself. It was so easy to hide behind, and became my security blanket. So what if I felt or looked awful? My hair was beautiful, and people would notice that before they noticed my perceived flaws. Anyway, I had my hair cut to about shoulder length, but it was matting into dreadlocks and falling out in massive clumps. I went to the local barbers and asked for a haircut. The first few places turned me down as they only cut men's hair. Yeah, but I want a men's haircut. I felt pretty flustered at this point, but managed to find a third barber shop. The shop was empty, except for one other barber and a customer in the chair. The free barber asked why I wanted to cut my beautiful hair, and I awkwardly stammered out that I had cancer and pointed to the bald patches that were forming. He was very kind and helped recommend lengths that would best hide the bald patches, and asked me about my treatment and how I found out that I was ill, and I told him. The other customer was paying, and he said he would like to pay for my haircut, as he couldn't help overhearing my conversation with the barber, and he hoped I got better soon. He said his daughter was around my age and also had long hair, which she loved. It was so unexpected and generous, it moved me to tears. I was so surprised and grateful. The barbers also recommended some pomade to help style my short hair and refused payment for the pomade and told me to come back if I needed another haircut. I left and cried in my car for about 10 minutes. I've been struggling a lot with the whole cancer thing, and the generosity and kindness of these strangers really touched me and made me feel seen and valued. If any of you have dealt with or know anyone who's dealt with cancer, you know how stressful it can be. Sometimes the small little things can make just such a huge impact in those people's lives. I'm a recovering heroin addict. I've been clean 6 years now. During my time as a worthless junkie POS, which lasted a full decade, my childhood friend was often my backup connection for drugs. When I couldn't get in touch with my dealer, I'd go through him. Long story short, I ended up loaning a lot of money to my friend so he could support his habit. Even when I didn't need him for a score, I'd still help him out if he called me up dope sick, needing money to get well. I held a good job that paid well, and still do, while he was down and out, doing whatever it took to survive. Therefore, I justified it by thinking he'd start stealing or do worse things to get money if I didn't. I never remembered exactly how much money I loaned him. He always promised to pay me back, but it was a lot. 6 years ago, my boss found out about my addiction and gave me two choices. I go to rehab and get clean, then return to work when I'm healthy, or I continue to use and get fired. I chose rehab. Part of getting clean was to cut ties with anyone I used with, which meant my childhood best friend. I told him what was up and offered to pay his way into a treatment facility, but he declined. So I deleted his number and didn't hear from him again until last week. I get a message on social media, "Hey, I'm clean, let's meet up." Turns out he ended up using for another 5 years, nearly dying twice from an overdose before being court-ordered into a drug rehabilitation center. Now he's working for his old man's company. Before we leave, he hands me a kind of heavy envelope and tells me I can't open it until I get home. I open the envelope to find $2,980 in it, along with an old piece of notebook paper that had dates written on it with cash figures next to each one. Turns out he kept track of every dollar I loaned him over the years. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great that he was paid back all the money that he loaned this guy, but the great part of this story is that two best friends that struggled with drug addiction both got clean and were able to reunite. So yesterday, I was on a hike, and somewhere along the trail, I lost my wallet. I spent hours combing the park looking for it. It had all 3 of my bank cards, along with my social security card in it. I just got a new job and needed it for that earlier in the day. I thought it was gone for good. Said park is used frequently for drug use. It's safe for your well-being, but notoriously not so much for your belongings, if lost or if left unattended. I was terrified. My life was essentially screwed before it began. No credit score yet at all. Then today, I got a call from the local police department, and someone had turned it in this morning. He left his number, and I called him to thank him. He gave me some tips to avoid it happening again. Faith in humanity restored. This is just a case of a guy just doing the right thing because he knows it's right. And sometimes even that can make a huge difference in someone's life. So yesterday, I lost my job. I made a mistake and got fired. I worked in the medical field where one mistake is kind of a big deal. I was a wreck. I loved my job and my coworkers, and I was good at it, aside from the mistake. I had a good thing going for me, and now it was all gone, and it was my fault. I was in shock, and I laid on the floor in the dark for a couple of hours alone. When I finally dragged myself out enough to text my friends, they were all sympathetic and supportive, and really encouraged me as I fired off as many applications as I could. I haven't been alone for more than a couple of waking hours since. Someone is constantly checking up on me, making sure that I'm taking care of myself and not beating myself up too hard. I have several different friend groups, many of which don't cross. College friends, friends who share various hobbies, etc. One of them dropped everything and came over to make me dinner, just so that she was sure I was eating properly. Another has offered to set up an online hangout to keep me company while I wait for responses. Yet another offered to send my resume to someone they know in my field. Their support means the world to me, and their refusal to give up on me has helped get me back to a much more positive mental place. They won't give up on me, so I'm not giving up on myself. What did I ever do to deserve such good people? At first, I was thinking, we should all try to find friends like this. But then I realized we shouldn't try to find friends like this. We should try to be this kind of friend. Hope you all liked this video. If you did, smash that like and subscribe button. And if not, let me know why down in the comments section. Shout out to Squidward Tentacles. I appreciate the advice that you gave me. I hope you enjoyed this video.